It's political season, so that means there are a lot of polls out there.
We've seen the president's poll numbers take
Fox
a
News
hit.
poll and a New York Times poll, 8 points in a Quinnipiac University poll.
Poll after poll after
Outbreak,
poll show
32%
Biden leads in
Pence.
places like Georgia and North.
Polls can seem like scores in a game of politics. Polls give us lagging information on the public's opinions about the candidates. Polls tell us what voters feel, what they care about, and how they're likely to vote in upcoming elections. Polling is done using a survey method called quota sampling. In quota sampling, pollsters survey a representative portion of a larger population to get specific information, like voters' preference. This method was pioneered by George Gallup in the 1930s. Since then, it has proven to be an efficient and effective method to determine possible political outcomes. Think of quota sampling this way. Let's say you made a bowl of trail mix for a party. You want to taste it and make sure it's yummy, right? Well, you don't have to eat the whole bowl to figure it out. Toss it up well and get a handful. The bowl of trail mix represents the large population of interest. The ingredients represent all the various demographics within the population. Just by sampling a representative portion, meaning all the ingredients in the correct proportion, you know if the entire bowl will be tasty or not. A properly portioned and representative sample gives information about the entire population. That's quota sampling. After the 2016 presidential election, polling got a lot of scrutiny because many pollsters declared Hillary Clinton was highly likely to win. Most were accurate in regards to Clinton winning the national popular vote, but not so much on the electoral votes from each state. According to Pew Research, pollsters placed her chance of winning the electoral votes between 70 and 99%. Pollsters think this polling error could have been for multiple reasons. For instance, lack of representation from groups of certain educational backgrounds and a lag of information from people who decided to vote at the last minute. Also, pollsters experienced a great deal of non-responsive bias from voters who supported President Trump. Non-responsive bias happens when poll results become skewed because some people in a population decided not to participate. When a certain representative group fails to respond, the poll does not reflect the true voting population and loses accuracy. Even though the 2016 results caused some mistrust, polls can still be very insightful if they're done right. To be sure you are following credible polls, consider the source, sample, and size. Source: when verifying the source of a poll, determine if it is independent or conducted by a politician. Since independent polls are not conducted in the interest of a certain candidate or party, they are more likely to seek to represent the fuller electorate and therefore be more reliable. One way to determine if a poll is independent is to find out who is paying for it. Interested parties may exert an influence on the data collected or the way in which it's presented. Sample: a credible poll has a proportional and representative sample of the nation and/or state. So that means people from diverse regions, ages, and backgrounds were contacted and participated proportionately. Size: representative sampling allows pollsters to question a relatively small group of people to determine the opinions of a much larger population. The science of statistics shows that even a sample size as small as 1,300 to 1,500 people will deliver a result with a very high likelihood of being correct, around 95%, with a margin of error around 3%. What does that mean? It means that if you ask the same poll questions to 100 different groups, each a representative sample of 1,300 to 1,500 people, 95% of the time the results would be within 3 percentage points of the answers you got from your very first sample. This margin of error is directly related to the sample size. But with an already small variance between results, increasing the sample size above 1,500 can't dramatically increase the accuracy. And so that's why most polls you see are in that range, and why historically most independent polls conducted scientifically are generally on the money. Now, in keeping the source, sample, and sample size in mind, remember that any poll is just a snapshot of a moment in time. The opinions of people polled can and do change. That's why, despite what previous polls may indicate, the only one that truly matters is on Election Day when the votes are counted.